Okay, so welcome to our version 8 webinar this afternoon. You're lucky enough to have 3 of your customer engagement managers today, including myself, and I'm Chris Peterson, along with Prachi Solomon, who will be demonstrating the features within Evolution, driving it, and Barbara McLean, who will be in charge of the chats. When you wanting any questions, there's a Q&A section at the bottom of the screen. If you write your information in there, because everybody is muted by default, and if we haven't addressed them during the session, then we'll cover them off as part of the end. The webinar is being recorded, and a copy of that will be sent to all participants that have registered, whether you attended or not. And there'll be a link within an email at the end of the session automatically. Okay, right. So, as I said, thanks and welcome. We are not going to show you every enhancement that was included within the version 8 release in today's webinar, but we do intend to showcase the main items, many of which are related to software suggestions. So we're going to start with the provider inbox enhancements. And Prachi's going to bring the provider inbox up for us. And while I'm waiting for that to appear, I'll just talk for a second. So the provider inbox has got a number of items in there that have been enhanced, and one of them is the auto preview. So the auto preview already enables providers to access the content within the list screen, and this feature has been enhanced to allow the position of the preview to be defined at the user level. So here we go. So when we have the auto preview, we have a box in the ribbon now, which allows you to define that it is the auto preview will display at the bottom, at the top, at the left or the right of the screen, and you can also change the percentage size of the information within the message that you're looking at. And yeah, to your preference. So that's just an extra enhancement. As I said, it's already something that you're probably already using, but we've got some extra bits in there. Apart from the a part of the wider management of our information within the inbox, I know providers record notes for other staff members or summarise the information, particularly when sharing information with a patient about a lab test when you're accessing the patient portal. So the great thing about version 8 has been introduced is that the comments field is now accessible within the list screen itself. So you can, if you have the auto preview enabled, you can, as you move down the list, you can type directly into the comments field. What that means is that you can write what you would normally want to write. So if you're going down your list and you're saying that the lab result's normal or the things, you don't have to open it each time, but it does require that you're set up in the auto preview as being enabled. It's important to note also that the non-prescribing nurse within the prescribing features, that when they create a repeat prescription, they too can record a note. And so and that would also appear in that comments field. Now it looks like the provider that we've got there isn't actually ticked to do that, but was set up to do that, but it's definitely an opportunity to do that. If you're looking at this list here, you'll notice that the comments field is very small and it doesn't look like it can contain a lot of information.
Chris, just give me 1 minute.
When Prachi gets it, she's just going to go and change the setup of the provider that she's working with. But she's also going to show that in version 8, you can now change the width of some of these columns and the position. So that's going to mean that the information can be changed and viewable to your preference. So just wait for her to put the preview down the bottom. And then hopefully her provider setup can be I'm just thinking they're having some technical difficulties there, so I won't be second because I'm just wondering whether one of them might swap out the showing of the sharing of the screen.
Sorry, Chris. Barbara is going to share her screen.
Okay.
And we're going to look at, so we've got the provider inbox and we can change the width of the columns.
Yeah.
And when you close the provider inbox and you reopen it, it should retain it, provided you've enabled that option in user preference.
Yeah. And whilst are we looking at Barbara's screen now, or are we still on your one?
Looking at Barbara's screen.
Okay. So that's right. So we'll come back to that anyway, because we can version 8 and now enables you to change the width and columns in a number of screens. The other thing within the provider inbox was around the filtering of the inbox. So if we now have options that allow us to include the location. So previously, if you set up your inbox and you had defined what you wanted your information to show, if it included locations, then it would not retain that memory. So now it will retain that memory going forward. Okay. The next thing is the changes to inbox screening. So a lot of you have got lab results set up via the inbox screening, and if they have, for instance, if it's an HbA1c, you might have a screening result that links to that. And so when you save the information, then it will write back a screening term around that. We don't need to show you've got some, yeah. So when you have a HbA1c and you can have it linked to a screening type, if the enhancement is, because that's obviously been around for a long time, the enhancement is that if your patient had a recall for that HbA1c, when you come to record the inbox, then it's going to pop up with a prompt to say, that you have an HbA1c recall, and you have the ability to either complete that recall at the time or to reschedule it. So what that means is if the patient has a recall for the HbA1c, you filing the inbox, and you choose whether you complete the recall, which means that the patient will no longer have a recall, or you can reschedule that recall for, say, 3 months' time for a repeat HbA1c. Now, the provider inbox toolbar at the left-hand side of the window can be is introduced as part of the by having the I'll start that again. The provider inbox toolbar can be ticked to be included into the new view inbox record. So if you double click on the inbox record, and at the moment it's not at the bottom, it is at the bottom of the screen in Barbara's example. So there is an option to have it appear here, which suits a lot of providers because they're already making comments at the bottom, and they're going to file or go next to the thing. So by having it down at the bottom, it just helps some people as a preference. The other thing is to remember that if you have this, the icons, you can always make them large or small. So a lot of people forget that by using the right mouse click, you can make the icons large or you can make them smaller. Other thing with the view, with the inbox, is that you now have the ability to add a staff task. So the toolbar now has a staff task. You can't see it here, but it's at the very end so that you can actually add a staff task as you go. Okay, so what they're showing you here is that when you add the staff task, you'll notice that normally this would be blank. However, it is automatically pulled through the patient name, the subject, the comment, which is very informative, FDSS, and the result. So that will automatically show as if it's belonging to the patient and your logged in staff member. But you can, of course, choose a different staff member from the drop down like you would normally doing any staff task. And you could CC that same message, but it just saves from when you're doing the staff task within that inbox, it does save a lot of information that you can that you don't need to actually document because you've already made the comment and it's pulling the information. So it makes the communication between the staff a lot easier. And that will happen automatically. There's no setup for that required. The staff task, a number of screens now have the ability to change the position and size of the columns, which we were talking about before. So if we look at the staff task, the action status on this example here is used to be in the middle of the screen, and it has been moved off to the side because this person didn't use it. So you can move them and it will retain your preferences. So we've had a lot of positive feedback around the ability to do that. And as I said, you can do that in the staff task. You can do that in the inbox. And the inbox in particular, if you're using the comments, you can make it nice and wide, and you can have it that it's easier to see because it's usually positioned to the far, further right of the screen. So you can see that quite easily. Okay, so I'm just looking, there is actually a question about the changing of the size in the columns. It's asking how we change the size of the columns so they don't go back to the default size. Now, this is going into the user preferences. Somebody is going to show us. Where are we? And there is a grid preference which says save column width and position. Sorry, I'm looking at a very small screen. Sorry, my glasses aren't working as well as what they should do. So yes, if you place the tick there, then it will enable the grids to remain. So thanks for that question, Ada. We've also added to this task screens is an auto preview. So you can have that as you progress through the list, and you can change the task lengths. It's not the same as the inbox with the fact that you can have it left, right, and a different percentage, but you can move it up and down as you go. So if you hold the mouse with the key where it changes, you can change the height of it, but it all depends on, you know, how much information you're putting in your task anyways as to how much needs to show, because you can see there that this one's just, you know, HbA1c is pretty minimal anyway, but a lot of people do put extensive information in their tasks, so we've enabled that preview as well. One of the things that we've also included in version 8 is around the ordering of the tasks. So in the navigation and the clinical tasks, the patient task and the provider tasks, the in the left and right navigation, when it's expanded, it will show the tasks in a different order. So it will have the tasks filtered. Just wait for that. Can you click on the patient profile, the extension? Thank you. Fabulous. So now it's got the formatting of the tasks has made it that the oldest is at the top of the list. And same with the patient tasks as well. And if you have that on the clinical dashboard as well, the patient tasks are also matched that with the oldest at the top. Is it going to pop out for us? And we've got the featured tasks, so the oldest. So that's just getting them both in line with each other. I must say, the clinical dashboard is one of my favourite things, because the fact that you can just add things quite easily as you go along with the different items. But obviously that's an existing feature which has been around for a long time. Now, if we go to the patient inbox, so this screen now has incorporated all the inboxes into one tab. So previously we had a tab for the inbox and we had a tab for the attachment manager. So now we have the inbox, the attachment manager, the SMS inbox, and the Manage My Health inbox all available at the patient level within the inbox itself. So it saves, just keeps everything concise, and it's quick to maneuver across. If we go to the patient the inbox, and I'm just going to have a look to see what has this person got any labs or RADs? Yes, they've got some labs. So down the bottom, we've got some labs. So the ability to send multiple lab results or RSD messages. So your RSD messages are usually those updates from the hospital. So you can send multiple items as an email to the patient. So once you've highlighted them, you can email the patient. Now, this is going to decide, obviously, if our patient has a email address in the F3 screen. So we'll see if when they click on that, probably doesn't. Normally what it will do is it should open up the actual email itself, enabling you to put the information in there, and it will attach them as two separate attachments. Now, obviously we don't have ours set up correctly, but it is proving to be quite useful, especially for those patients that do like copies of all their records, and so they can file them away themselves. In addition, because even people with patient portal do quite like to have those things as a paper format. So yeah, and it is restricted to labs and RADs that it can include in the email at the moment. The other thing that you can do is if your system is set up to email, is that you can also have it add an admin note as part of that, so that you have a record of the sending of the email to the patient within their daily record. So there is a Evolution location setting within the location itself that you can place a tick in, which will add the email notification into the admin notes. So if we just have a look at that, so going into options, location settings, location, and the forms and numbers tab. And then there's a tick there that says enable into the admin notes into the thing at the bottom. You can also see that there is the option to colour the record of the admin note as well, so that it's a bit obvious of what it is, but it's quite often useful to have that record that you have sent something. There's some interesting colour choices there. So we've also introduced some features that don't require setup, so they're available automatically. And if we go into the patient medication screen, okay, so you can now, obviously this is many patients have more than 3 long-term medications, but if they have 10, then prior to version 8 you'd have to tick down the list 10 times. So now we have the opportunity to select multiple items. So we're just looking for, seeing if we can find someone that's got more. And if we have a look at their medications, let's see what they've got. Okay, so if we were going to repeat multiple, so the new ability is that you can tick the top one and then you hold down the shift key and then click on the last one that you want ticked, and it will enable you to highlight a number within the list itself. So you tick the first one and then you hold down the shift key and then tick the last one, and it will tick them automatically. So there you've got quite a few ticked all at once. It is necessary now to place a tick if you are going to use that repeat or the making something long-term or non-long-term. So before, you used to be able to just right-click in the item itself and then make it long-term. What you would do now is tick, and then instead of the right hand, and then we have those icons along the top now, so you could choose that there. And that will make them repeat them or make them long-term. The other thing while we're in this screen, the filter for medications relating to long-term, most recent, and all is now got icons that all, which used to be just filter items. So you can click on the items, and you can, if you change the filter itself, it will, within the filter screen, it will show as orange. So you can see that one now is how it's orange. So we're filtering the to display just today's. I didn't actually see what that icon was. But you can see how it's orange. So those ones now are the most recent medications. So the most recent medications is one of everything that has been prescribed, and the other one was the long-term. And thank you, and that one will be all. Oh, this medication only. Thank you. So that would show you all of the instances of that one particular medication, but it's just the point that it's now as an icon, and that you can, as a reminder, you can see that it has got that orange sign behind it, so that you are aware of the that the filter is on, in case you're thinking there. So I'm just going to, I'll come back. There are some questions in the Q&A, but I'll come back to those ones because they don't quite relate to what we're talking about. So we'll talk about those shortly. So that's great. Okay, so the medications, as I said, has got those filter icons. We have removed the print icon in version 8, as it is expected that as NZEPS needs to be generated from the consult screen, so it's no longer in the print screen. So once it is been repeated, then it will be in the consult screen, and you can obviously send it from there, because it only gets its barcode when it's printed from the consultation screen. And if you needed to reprint a prescription from the consult screen, you can double click on the e-prescription line, and you can then right click and select and click all. And I wasn't watching the screen, so of course we don't have the right information, but you can see that you can view that single, and you've got a print icon at the top left. Okay, if we go back to, since we've got the consultation screen opening, one of the things that has sometimes been a bit frustrating for people is if they're copying and pasting information into the consult screen, it doesn't always hold well. It used to at times look quite messy because it was pulling across the formatting from the document that they copied and pasted from. We now have it that it will hold the formatting from the consultation screen itself. So whatever your provider has set up for the font within their consultation screen, when you copy and paste now, it will reflect that. So you don't have to go around and get rid of all those extra lines and strange things that were sometimes appearing depending on what you were copying and pasting. Whilst we have got the screen there open, I want to also ask that they are going to show the, not that you can see, but the task, the actual left and right navigation panels can now be collapsed and reopened by way of keyboard shortcuts. So Control-Shift-F is the dashboard side, and Control-Shift-X is the left-hand side. So we can't see how that works because we can't see them putting their fingers on the keyboard, but it is a keyboard shortcut now, which is great for people like me that use all the function keys. Okay, we might go into the classifications now, so we can add a new classification, please. So when we add a new classification, we now have the recall section at the bottom. So if we were maybe going to add, an example might be diabetes, gout, that will do. When you add a new classification, you can also now add a recall. So what it might be that you need to have a blood test in 3 months' time. So whatever your recall is associated with your diagnosis, so if it's gout, it might be the blood test, it might be diabetes, might be an annual review. You can create a recall at the time of giving the diagnosis. So that's a new feature. The other thing that has been included in all of the recall screens is the ability to include repeat the previous recall. So, for instance, if it was an example of a diabetes annual review, the note might be 12-month review or something like that. So next time you repeated it, then you could have the note appear. Obviously, if the note is blank, then it's not going to be anything showing. If you don't want the previous note to be remained, then you just need to remove the tick. Okay, we might go just to the immunisations, please. Favourite screen of everybody. Okay, so there is this green icon now, which enables you to, takes you to the website, which will have access to the latest immunisation handbook. So every time it's updated, you'll have the most up-to-date information. So that just takes you to the Te Whatu Ora or Health New Zealand website with the information in there. The other thing, there's been a few more changes to the immunisations insofar as that we have updated the merge immunisation cert merge field, which means that it's including the MenB vaccines and the HPV vaccines. So that it's Miss MIS underscore MIMM underscore CER for certificate. So that particular merge field is often put into the outbox if you were going to do an immunisation certificate. So that's the status of the immunisations, or the front page and the encounter slip also quite often use that merge field. So if you are using that merge field, it has been updated to include the more recent schedule changes for the Men B and the, which used to be Men's B, obviously from the previous schedule. So it includes the new Men B and the PCV 13s as well. Okay, so we might just check these question and answers first, and then we'll, so the question was, are the emails encrypted? So when it is set up, this might be a little bit more technical than me, but we use STMP for our emails. So as part of the setup, it needs to be included. And so in my mind, it's secure, but I don't actually know whether it's encrypted. So might just ask Prachi to put a note in that for you, follow up on that one. The inbox with the attachments be okay to use via ERMs. At the moment, they have to download information onto their desktops and then attach the photo. So let me just think about that. The inbox with attachments be okay to use via ERMs. You can attach things from the attachments manager into things, but Karen, I'm not sure about that with the ERMs, so we might need to, if you could put in the question, no, actually, if you can tell me what your practice is in the Q&A, then maybe we can contact you directly, because I'm not familiar with, I know what ERMs is, the South Island referrals, but I don't actually haven't got an eye on that functionality. So if you can do that, that would be great. I'll leave that open as well. And the recalls, can we go over the recalls that are attached to a lab result and how to get out of the window if the recall is already set for 2 months, etc.? Okay, so can we have, the only thing is that we don't have anything coming into our system as a lab result. I think Prachi might have set something up yesterday on her one to try and duplicate that. Can we demo that, please? Can you guys do a...
Sorry, Chris, we did not have one live one to demo that.
Okay. So have we got the, maybe we could show the release notes at the end just with that screenshot?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And the body of the mail of what to write into the mail. Oh, it does not save in the note. The body of the email or what you write into the email does not save into the note. Okay, now we have got a screenshot of that as well, so we might need to do that.
Chris, so the note is not saved. So the note that you write in the body of the email, that will not be saved, but that's something that is been considered for the future.
Fabulous. But we'll still do, can we bring that up as a screenshot as well at the end, please?
Yes.
Okay. And is there ever going to be an option, quite frustrating, time consuming, sitting there ticking the boxes when you have to send the inbox to 11 different blocks? Now, the bit that I'm confused about is the 11 different blocks. Is there ever going to be an option? It's quite frustrating, time consuming, sitting there ticking all the boxes when you have. So that's in the inbox. Is that talking about with the just thinking that's will that ticks item enable that within the inbox? It's a bit difficult because I'm not 100% sure whether you're trying to put multiple things into one option, or are you just wanting to tick the boxes? So, Nikki, we might need to get some more info from you and come back to you if that's all right.
And Nikki, if you're referring to having being able to do multi-selection like we can do right now with patient inbox, so unfortunately in GP to GP we can't do that multi-selection, and that's not within Medtech control to add that as of now.
No, because GP to GP technology, as we know, has been around for a very long time, just about as long as I have, and it's not able to be updated just yet. Balls Medical, too big to attach ERMs. Oh, okay, thank you. So we've got an answer from Karen from Balls Medical. It was too big to attach to ERMs, and that's why we had to download to the desktop. Okay. We've got an anonymous attendee. When the patient medication is changed before being discharged, is there an easier way to add it to Medtech? Okay, so are we talking, I'm thinking, Prachi, is that what you would imagine a recording a medication that's been given elsewhere? Prescribed elsewhere, so it's medication's changed.
Yeah.
And is there an easier way to add into Medtech? So have we got the F10 for that?
So
when you're doing a new script, if you're going to record what's been prescribed in the hospital, if it's been changed, how do we display that in the new medication screen?
So we will be adding the new medication,
yes,
with the changed dose, and
yes,
mark it as being external.
Yes, that's right. Can you bring that up? That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
So anything that is not prescribed internally, there is that provider prescribed externally. So it will add it to the list, but it won't actually send, obviously. And when the patient then comes in, then you can prescribe it once they attend. And hopefully that's the answer for that. Oh, that was GP to GP, Nikki. So hopefully that's what we've answered as well. Yep. Okay, so the other thing that we want to talk about is the ACC numbers. So I'm hoping that most of you have already changed to the ACC numbers, the new numbering system. And as far as in your location settings, and previously, we all remember you had to go to ACC and get blocks of numbers, and you could have those by provider, or you could have those as not. But by changing the setting within the location to do this automatically, then what happens is that as soon as you open an ACC 45, then it will connect to ACC and it will pull the information straight away. When we obviously haven't got a live connection to it, but using that auto ACC number ticked will enable that to happen. Now, if you still have some numbers, if you've turned that on and you still have some numbers in the previous block that hadn't run out, in the instance of if there was a connection failure to ACC, then it could work with the next. You could use some of those older numbers, but when you are connected, it would automatically populate within that next. Instead of next, it would have the ACC number, and there is a green triangle to say that it is connected. If it doesn't connect, then there will be a red triangle which will say that it hasn't been able to connect with ACC, and you can add a manual one, or you can. So it says if the ACC API cannot retrieve a number, you'll have that red triangle, and you can refresh it with the ACC request. And if the ACC cannot still be received, then you need to park it. And as I said, you have to wait for the connection, or you can add one of those manual ones. The information that we're going to go over now relates, I've kept this to the end because not everybody has Medeor payments. But for those that have Medeor with FPOS, pay by link, let's start with pay by link. So if they have pay by link, the practices that subscribe to this can now auto-generate prescription invoices. So this allows the automatic invoicing of, we have up to 2 types of scripts that you can choose. So by default, we have called it standard and urgent, but at a recent user group, I had some suggestions that practices might have multiple different types. So there was a suggestion that maybe we needed more than 2, but at the moment we have the ability to choose a service code for the standard one, and in this example we've got RX, which would charge whatever your fee is for that standard one, or an urgent one, which may be same day and maybe obviously a different charge. So once you have that in there, when you're going to do your actual prescription, the accounting service can be appearing automatically. So once we've got, my screen's just gone blank for a second there, Prachi. I couldn't see where you were, sorry. Okay, so if we are going to prescribe using that standard selection, or the urgent selection, then when you do the prescribing, so you have an outbox that can send the details of the via the email or an SMS template email, and the merge field for that is a pay by link merge field, and it can be included in the inbox. And in that same setup, that was the link which document was associated with each service. So then when we go to do the invoice for the delivery, it's an option for email only, or SMS only, email or SMS, or email and SMS. So depending on your practice, it may be that your patients are utilising the both an email or an SMS. So there's that drop-down selection in that setup that you can choose. There is when the auto-generate is set up, then it means that you can, when you select your method of prescription, pickup method, and enter the pharmacy that the patient is wanting to send, then you can obviously have the tick the information that you want, the medications, and then it will come up and it will ask you to, it will say auto invoice will be ticked automatically in that section, in that screen, as you can see on the left hand side. If, however, you are a provider with it's not going to tick automatically for GPs, because the assumption is if they're doing a consultation, it won't be ticked automatically. But if you're the non-provider, so the nurses are generating the repeat prescriptions, then that auto invoice will be ticked automatically. The reason it's not ticked, obviously, because you're likely to be doing a consultation charge for the provider, not just a script charge. You can obviously, like Prachi has done, is tick it so that it will invoice at time. If the nurse is putting in a comment into that while she's doing the invoice, so it's going for approval, that will also appear in that comments field within your provider inbox. And when they then go to, and once it goes to the approvals, and you can send it to and it'll choose whether it's a standard or urgent, and then it will go off on the method depending on what you've selected in the setup. There is a somewhere that you can check where that is. So in the messages, the tools messages lodged ribbon, then we have the ability to see which ones have actually been sent automatically invoiced. So if somebody has unticked it by mistake, you can see the list who still needs to be invoiced. So that's like a double check to see which ones need to be invoiced. Okay, well, it's our first webinar. I'll just double check we haven't got any more questions and answers that we haven't ticked. So, Prachi, can we just tick the box for the automatic ACC numbers without having to do anything else? Now, that was in the setup for the ACC numbers. So, and whilst Prachi is going to that,
yes, so we don't need to do anything else. We just need to start using the automatic numbers, and you can continue to create your new ACC 45 numbers. It will pick up the number from the ACC website automatically, and the ones that you already have there will remain there.
Okay. Is there ever going to be an option to show the patient's email on the ribbon? Now, I'm just trying to think the email that we had for the 8.1. Did that include something like that?
Not in the next few releases. No,
Okay.
Not sure about that. We can check with the product team if that's something.
Jude, if you haven't already done so, please send in an SIS. And we do encourage everyone to send in the SISs, because if only one person sends in an SIS compared to something that 20 people have sent in an SIS, then obviously the one has more clout with than the single request, depending, of course, whether it's a clinical issue or not. So, yeah, please send those in. Now, does this work with Dr. Info prescribing module? So, I'm not sure which bit you're asking, does it work? But Dr. Info is looking at the data within your Evolution directly. So, my assumption is that the answer is yes. But, Angela, it's not quite clear what you're actually wanting to know. Sorry. It's we're still admin note, done that. I think that's just about it. We were going to show, Prachi, did you know about the emails, whether they were encrypted or not?
No, I'll have to find that out.
Okay. And the ERMs, there was a comment saying it was too big thing. So the other one was the recalls attached to the roles. Do you have the release notes up, or do you want me to try and share my screen, find it and share my screen? She just wanted to have a look at the message when it comes up.
Yes, I was just about to answer that question.
Thank
So
you.
normally when that pop-up comes up about your pop-up comes up regarding
about the recall, existing recall.
the recalls, there is by default it ticks the option, that completed option. But if you don't want that recall to be completed, just untick, remove the tick under completed, and it will keep your recall, the existing one, as is. I hope that's answered your question.
Okay, so I'm just conscious of the time. We all really, really appreciate your patience. This is the first time that the three of us have done a webinar, so we've had a couple of technical difficulties, but hopefully you still managed to get some information around that. And as I said, once the webinar is finished, you will get a copy of the recording. And okay, and we've just got one last question. Was auto ACC numbers, we will no longer know that the number has a batch associated to our practice. That's correct, you won't, because it's across the country. Okay, fabulous. So thank you all. And the other thing is that as customer engagement managers, we are looking to run webinars next year. So we are hoping to do them fortnightly. And but we're really keen to have input from yourselves around what topics you're wanting. Obviously, Query Builder will be an obvious one, maybe immunisations, record screen. We're happy to take any suggestions that you have. So think about it with your teams, and yes, you can be in touch with us. So just double checking there's nothing else in the chat, and we really, really appreciate your attendance. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the day.